Okay, a very good morning, good afternoon, and good evening to all watching on the YouTube channel and, of course, direct on the QO-100 satellite. This is ZS6YI operating from close to Johannesburg, running the DATV Sunday Net. We have a nice list of guys on today, so that's good. Also want to thank the Qatar Satellite Company for allowing us the opportunity to be on their satellite with our amateur satellite developed by AMSAT DL. That's a German division of AMSAT, and also a lot of assistance from AMSAT UK and, of course, the British Amateur Television Club, BATC. Yeah, I'll put the list on in a second. Let's just have a look who's on the list. We have ZS1 Mike to follow. I hope Leon's got his story sorted out. It was coming and going, Leon. It came up in a nice signal, then it dropped down. Hello to Martin in the UK, and is going to talk about All-Star Node. And then we have Michael, Echo Alpha 7 Kilo India Romeo. He's in Spain. This and that is going to be interesting. And hello to Brian. Also, he's in the UK, a G6HFS. Brian is trying the Prism Live Studio. That sounds interesting, Brian. Hello to Frank, G8 Papa Quebec Hotel, also in the UK, and Nick in the UK, G4 IMO. Haven't seen you for a while, hope you're well. And I saw Mike earlier, so he says he's just watching. Okay, so Mike won't be coming back on transmission. And then hopefully Roger, G3IUZ, will be coming up. So we have a nice list from the UK mostly. and last week it was mostly South African, but anyway, it's always lovely to have everyone on frequency. I just want to mention I got a email from old man Martin, G4FKK, and he asked if we could advertise this. Of course we can. He says, "Hi Gary, hope you all and yours are well. I've been asked by Peter, VK3 Bravo Fox Golf, to provide essentially a two-way link between operators on QO-100 and VK3 RTV repeater in Melbourne. We are planning 20-minute slots so that QO-100 operators can see and then be seen by the operators on the other side. We've done a few tests to see if the technology works, and it looks very promising. I've posted on the BATC forum, so hopefully you will get some interest, and it would be great if you were able to make an appearance and maybe persuade some other SA ops to join in as well. We have two. We've got Tom and Leon. They go for the project. Maybe you could advertise the event on the WhatsApp groups as well. Right, from a UK licensing perspective, I would need to be in contact with someone to avoid being accused of broadcasting. And so maybe you and I could kick things off when it starts at 0900 UTC on the 31st of August. It's Saturday, the 31st of August, 0900 UTC. So it would be great if people can come up on frequency and give Martin a hand, and it also demonstrates what DATV can be doing via the satellite, of course, and get the Australians, I wouldn't say drooling, but interested, so maybe one can petition for a satellite in their neck of the woods. Anyway, let me know what you think. All the best, Martin, G4FKK. So that was the email I received from Martin. Right, let's see if Leon can come up. I hope he can. And Leon, if you wouldn't mind taking the microphone, ZS1 Mike from ZS6 Yankee India and the group. ZS1 Mike.
Okay. Oh, thanks, Gary. Of course I can take it. There's nothing wrong. I just did a very, very short test just to see whether my amplifier was on. Anyway, so yeah, your signal is perfect as always. And yeah, I'm terribly sorry to hear about the loss of your friend, your school friend. Yeah, a very similar thing happened to me, but it's about 22 years ago now that he passed away. But I also knew him since I was in Standard 3, and we were like brothers, absolutely. I also made him a ham. His brother told me, you make him a ham. His brother was a ham. He worked at Cape Town Radio. But Louis said there's one Hotel Echo. He lived just around the corner from me. And yeah, also died of a brain tumor. Yeah. Okay, right. What have I been doing? Yeah, I'm at work, as you all know now. But Michael, some time ago, maybe almost a year ago, he said that CDs are rubbish. They just fool the brain and make it sound good. So I mentioned this to a friend of mine on the farm, and I said to him, I'm going to make a test. I have a decent recording system here. So I recorded on the one channel my voice to just annotate what I'm recording. On the other channel, I can do 256 channels, but 2 is enough for this test. So on the left output channel, I have my voice, and on the right, I have audio tones recorded from 200 hertz. I went up in steps up to 20 kilohertz, because nothing above that is of great importance. 15 kilohertz is where FM broadcasting stops. They don't broadcast higher than 15 kcs. But anyway, I went up to 20. And I haven't used this machine for many years. And boy, oh boy, was I paging through the manual and my own notes and things to finally produce a CD. But yes, it's there. It's there, and what I'm going to do now is I'm going to play it on a standard CD player or DVD player, whatever, and put a scope to it and check and see what happens to a pure sine wave up to 20 kilohertz. So I'll let you know, Michael, once I finished the CD about 10 minutes ago, so I haven't had the time to lick it. I just quickly played it on the CD player, and it plays well. There's nothing wrong with it. So I'll have a look on the scope and see what happens to 20 kilohertz or 15 kilohertz or 10 kilohertz or whatever when played from a CD. Okay, right. So that's it for me, from me for now. Martin, you take a G8 KOE for the group.
Right, you nearly caught me out there. He says, let's just make sure I've got some audio. Right, you nearly caught me. Yeah, I was sort of. Yeah, CDs. I always remember an early CD course done by Philips that I went on. That's when I was in the TV trade side of things, and they sort of muttered that the hi-fi sort of boffins, etc. They had to put this little switch on the back, which was almost like switching a 0.1 in to knock off, to make it happy for the hi-fi boys. That's all I do remember. Don't remember a lot else. But yeah, thanks for the report. I'll see from DG4 DC. I'm looking at 3 things at once. Right, what am I? All-Star Node. Well, that's what I'm running at the moment, which is what's up on the screen. Let's go to the other camera. So it's on 47572 on the All-Star network. And that's it sitting down there running. And that's the radio I use with it. At the moment, we can use any FM radio, standard FM radio, so you don't have any nasty noises like you've got a peg on the end of your nose. But I'll set that up, which is just a Raspberry Pi and the interface. Now the interface is all. I just followed the instructions that Matt did on his. Let's go to there, and we go to the center screen on his YouTube channel. So there it is. Do follow it. Follow the setup. That's what it looks like. All went reasonably well. Let's click on that one. That's what mine looks like inside. It uses a SA818 chip for the output. Now, the software that is recommended is that one. Now, I can program the frequency up with no trouble, but I haven't been able to understand exactly what should be put elsewhere. I wanted to have a CTCSS of 77, and it gets confusing of how you should set this up. So if anybody's actually used it, understands it, and can tell me. I tried various combinations, and I think I totally misunderstood it. But I think I know what I've got to do now. But I'd be interested from where else. I did post on Tech Minds. Thank you for the video node. Working, trying to program the CTCS tone of 77 with the software. Can't get it to work. Need help, please. I'm waiting for see if any replies come there as well. Oops, let's go to that one. But yeah, that's the software that they say program it with. I get totally lost. But the node's up and working. Anybody can connect to it if they have that facility. So that's the number. It says 47572. It's free to set things up to get a number. Just need to have a license, call sign, etc., etc. I've actually got 2 nodes on the go at the moment, but that one is just set totally on the new beastie, and I think it's working well. And that's well, I've got one station connected to him at the moment. That's the dashboard that you end up with. There's a more advanced one that knows you to connect and things and such like, but I've left David G1DCG is connected to me. So if I was to click on the bubble chart, it would show my node and he's connected to me. So you can do peer-to-peer, which is what makes the system really good. And using FM as opposed to nasty DMR, etc. That's what I've been playing with. But if anybody has programmed up that device, the I can never remember the number. The SA, was it 212, whatever it was? He says, bringing up the SA818. That's right, SA818. And can help me be interested. I've also got the ride running. Let's go to there on this little monitor here, which I run all sorts of things. So I set up a ride on that Raspberry Pi there, and it's connected via one of those capture devices. The only problem I've got is that if I just boot up and power up everything, I think the Raspberry Pi boots up before there's power or whatever elsewhere, and the Raspberry Pi doesn't seem to output on the HDMI output straight away If I then was to unplug it and plug it back in, then it would do. But anyway, not a major problem. I can overcome it. Right. I've got not a lot else to add. There's a fair few on the net, which is good. I'll pass it over to this and that, which sounds interesting there, Michael. So I bet something's to do with sound, though. I've got a funny feeling it's to do with some sound. Or is it just all the picture this time? Right, I'll put a test card. Makes it easier. And over to you then, Michael, from G8KOE.
Okay, good afternoon everyone. 35 degrees out here. Not very pleasant. It's not very pleasant for the kit I've got on the roof either, I imagine. The Pi's running at 53. The PA is running at 44, so the cooling's working. Anyhow, it works. Leon, I don't. When you said Michael said this, I don't know whether that was me or not. I know I go on about sound quite a lot, but if it's a year ago, my memory's not that good. But if it wasn't me, just say so on the chat and I'll stop right now. Watching. Nothing on the chat. I'll carry on. Oh, I can't remember what I said actually. If it was me, what I might have said is that it's a fact that as you get older, as most people on QO-100 are, your hearing has deteriorated dramatically since you were 20. Because around that age, it starts going downhill like the rest of your body. And you're lucky if you can hear 10 kilohertz these days, probably less. So worrying about any, the higher frequencies is irrelevant. But the thing is, you get used to it. And even if I was doing my old job, which involved mixing music in recording studios and television studios, I think I could still do it because when I've got, you kind of get used to it. And, if it sounds right in real life, to me, it's real. And I also know I can remember where I used to set the knobs, so I wouldn't be winding up the treble to compensate for my hearing. I'd be going for what I used to do, and I'm sure that would sound right to me, and therefore right to a 20-year-old. But it's a fact of life, I'm afraid. Whether the high frequency carries intelligibility or information, the answer is no, it doesn't. And that's why your old standard dial-up telephones work just fine, because they've got an extremely limited bandwidth. They've got a drop of about 3 kilohertz or something, and you can still have a conversation. So that might have been something I was saying. Anyhow, moving on. Just before I forget, I have a question, which I should know this because it's been asked a million times since DATV started, with regards to the Pluto. If you plug in a USB from your computer into the USB socket on the Pluto, can I call it the middle one, the one that's kind of central in the card? That will take power and data. This is a question now. If I also add power to the other USB, the one next to the network connector, that would mean it would get in power from my extra supply and from the USB from the computer. Is that a bad thing? Or is it okay? That's the question. Because I've got a couple of things plugged into the USB sockets on the Pi, one of which is the Pluto. And there is a current limit on that. Now everything works, but I don't know. I haven't tried to measure it, but I suspect that I'm close to the limit. And it might be better to, for the sake of the Pi, to try and power the Pluto independently. So I guess it comes down to the fact, is there some kind of a diode between the two USB sockets on the Pluto? Pluto has extensive power switches. Internal, I presume. In other words, Mike is answering on the chat. In other words, Mike, it's okay, because the Pluto will take the power from presumably whichever is the higher voltage. Okay. Maybe you'll come back with a fuller explanation on that. Okay, so what have I been doing? Well, one thing I've been doing is searching the internet for something that looked like this. And, Amazon and all that. Now, I wanted something to put on a Raspberry Pi touch screen just to mount it on the desk in the same way that Martin in his last over has one, but his is mounted in a case and it's very neat and tidy. But I don't want neat and tidy. I want it so it's accessible for development purposes, not as a finished product. And I cannot find anything like this that you can buy from China or anywhere else. But in my searches, I came across a design, and this is it, the design from Tinkercad. Okay? Found one on Tinkercad. Oh, just a minute. Mike says the schematics on the analog website. Oh my God. Yes, all right, I'll have to delve deeper. What a terrible answer that is. Okay, good. Thank you, Mike. Now, I don't have a 3D printer. And furthermore, I'm not really wanting to buy one for two reasons. One, I don't really have space in the office for one. And secondly, I don't think I have the patience to learn the 3D software and the slicing software and which filaments. And, for occasional use, it's just too much trouble. So I searched around for a local 3D printing shop where I live. And I found one, only a short drive away, 10 minutes. And they printed me this. And they said, well, we can't just, because there's two, obviously, the left one and the right one. We can only print you 4 pairs, so you'll finish it with 8. So I said, yeah, okay. How much? €15. 2 days later, I collected them. And there they are. Perfect. Exactly what I was looking for. Because it's fully exposed on the back. I can get to the GPIOs and the dreaded card slot, which is totally inaccessible because of the ribbon paper. Thank you, Raspberry Pi Foundation, for such a brilliant piece of design. So I'm very happy with that. It does exactly what I want. I can just put it on the bench. It doesn't fall over. Instead, I used to prop it up on a wine glass or something. So that's great. Sorted. So that might be interesting. Tinkercad. Search on Tinkercad and you'll find it. I can't give you the link. I've lost it. But you'll find it if you search hard enough. And print it yourself if you've got a printer, or do what I did. Find a local shop that'll do it for you. Very professional. They'll even print in any material you want, including what is it called? Not fiberglass, carbon fiber. Carbon fiber. They'll even do that. And they gave me a piece to hold. Yeah. Really hard. Good. They also gave me this. I bet you haven't got one of these, or maybe you have. This is a catalogue of all the different fibres filaments. I'm saying fibres, I meant to say filaments. All the different filaments that this particular company does, but these are manufactured in Spain. Yeah. Surprise, surprise. That surprised me as well. Manufactured in Spain, and they've got a tremendous range there. So that's that. The other thing I've been doing is developing the software that I write for the radio and the transmitter and the receiver that I use here, which are homebrew. I'll just show you on the GitHub page. Whoops, not that one. This one. It's the GitHub page. That's the receiver, and you know, I've got all the instructions on how to install it. I'm not suggesting you do this. I'm not suggesting it at all. And this is the transmitter, which looks almost identical by design, but it's completely different, and it has quite a bit more in it. I had a lot of trouble with the... I'm so proud of this because I've actually got it working on Bookworm now. Something else not to be recommended. Bookworm, Wayland, and Network Manager. Neither of which are finished. It's an absolute hellhole. It took me I got the receiver done fairly quickly, but the transmitter side of it, because I'm using 2 USB inputs and one has a dongle on it, and certain dongles like the dreaded Realtek's don't work at all. But fortunately I had one made by ASIC, and that did work. But this Network Manager is an absolute, and you can't get rid of it. You could certainly uninstall Network Manager and go back to using IP tables or whatever anything else you wanted. But Wayland is it uses it, so it's a requirement. And if you try and uninstall it, it just puts it back in again. So you go Bookworm and you're stuck with it. And as I say, despite the fact that Wayland's been around now since 1906, and the same with Network Manager, they're very buggy and unfinished and badly documented. In fact, there's no documentation at all for Wayland. It's just pathetic. There is some documentation for Network Manager. So my advice to anyone moving to Bookworm is don't. But I've done it, but as I say, it's taken weeks to get the transmitter working. In fact, I only got it working properly yesterday. So I can now cold boot it and everything comes up as it should. But that wasn't the case even the day before. So that's it. I can't think of anything else to say, and I think I've been on long enough. So I'll hand it over. Where are we going? I've got the list here somewhere. Handing over to Brian, G6 HFS from EA7 KIR in 35 degrees Malaga.
Let's have a look, see how we go. Audio, hope so. See how we go. Audio, hope so. That should be camera if I get hold of this software. Yeah. Oh, have I froze? Oh well, something got to learn with the software. Probably some settings still to do. Yeah, I've been playing with this Prism Studio. It's looks like OBS, but it's got a lot more bells and whistles, fancy features, where you can set up more than one stream. Not earlier I was streaming to the satellite, streaming to the BATC, all with the same transmission, which is handy, which is fun. So I've been tinkering with that. Not been else, been doing a great deal. I better say good afternoon all, and before I forget, Michael, I don't use the SD card on Pies. No. Got fed up with that years ago. Using equivalent high-speed USB card, little baby ones like this. No, not going to focus. Anyway, I use those in the high-speed USB ports, the blue one. All my equipment's running on them. Ride, Winter Hills, ports down, everything. What have I been up to? Not a lot really. Helping son move over last weekend. Hospital appointment to attend this week, which made me feel groggy after the infusion I had to have. Heard from the other Brian. Got the new software for the Pico tuner, which is fun. Especially on the network. You can hand cam, see if I can get this right. Yeah, it's a bit slow, isn't it? It's not as prompt as OBS. Anyway, you can basically send commands to over the network, and if you look there, the BIP 9908 changes the address, and you can also stop the LEDs flashing on signals. They're just either on or off. That's handy, that, because being able to shift that. Being able to shift that, you can run your Winter Hills. So you can have your Winter Hill going, plus your Pico tuner. And of course they all work on Tom software and other software, all works. The original WHPC viewer and stuff all runs. What do you mean by moving quick? It was a bit blocky. Yeah, perhaps that's a setting I've got to look up in the video. I'll have to play. As I say, I've only loaded it this morning. Started playing with it. So that's about it from me. Apart from, oh yeah, I used me bullseye calibrator. That's got me bullseye a bit more on frequency, only a couple of kcs off. That's near as much as it's required. Right, that's it for this round. So I'll hand it round to Frank. G8 PQH from G6HFS.
I think I've got the audio turned up a bit too loud there. Let's turn that down a bit. Thank you, Brian. This is G8PQH with the DATV Worldwide Wide Net. It's been ages since I've been on, but I often listen to this on YouTube most weeks, so I've more or less up to speed with what everyone's doing. What have I been doing? There's a sort of theme with audio at the moment. I've been I'm currently making up a kind of Raspberry Pi based audio synthesizer for my son who lives in Mexico. He sent me the links to this thing, which basically appears to be a Raspberry Pi and a sound card and various other gubbins, LCD display or something like that. And from what I gather, the idea is it stores sort of MIDI patches or the sounds of different instruments or something in it, and then he can swap between them, I guess, when he's playing his keyboards. You know, something you set up beforehand rather than fiddle around with in your studio or whatever. It seems to be something for performance. Not actually sure how I'm going to test it because I don't have a MIDI keyboard here. And what else have I been doing? Oh, I've been relearning how to use KiCad and watching Mike's excellent YouTube videos, G0MJW there. And sad to say though, the first thing that I designed was something for work, an interface to some phones. We're doing some audio quality testing work, but nothing as detailed as what EA7KR is talking about. It's really just mean opinion score, which is been used a lot in telecoms over the years, a sort of 1 to 5 scale. But then as the codecs get better and better and the bandwidth goes up, they have to sort of shift the thing down so it still fits in the 1 to 5 square, 1 to 5 score. Interested in the All-Star stuff, Martin. I don't really understand it. Everyone in the local area here now, in the Seal Island radio group, have those little hand portables, the Quangcheng ones, the K5s. We've got no idea what to do with them now. I've got to do something. Maybe we should set up some kind of mini gateway or repeater or something just to keep ourselves busy. So anyway, I won't natter on because I don't have a lot to say. I've built this thing up this morning and I'm going to test it maybe after this net. I've used it as an excuse to get hold of a new oscilloscope, so that might turn up. And then also my first KiCad PCB's back from China tomorrow as well. So we'll see if I've mastered Mike's instructions or screwed it up. Anyway, so next on the list is Nick G4IMO. So I will hand it over to you, Nick, and hopefully still be around for the next over. So this is G8PQH in Celsius build with the worldwide net, and I think next to transmit is
Yes, okay, Frank, thanks for that. Just check my audio is there. Where's the mute? There it is. Mute that off there. Yes, where's my camera? There we go. Yes, good afternoon to everybody. Nice to see you on here. It's quite a long list. So, which is nice to see. My effort to come on last week was a disaster because I was all ready to try it out. I think about 15-20 minutes before the net, and I discovered that it didn't work. I didn't have any transport stream, so I had a fiddle around, tried various things, tried switching things off, unplugging things and restarting things, but nothing. No, couldn't get it to go at all. So anyway, after the net during the week, I had a look, and one of the settings had changed in DATV Easy, which is what I use here. It wasn't something, to my knowledge, that I'd altered, so I don't know how it got changed, but I'll show you what it was. Hang on a minute. I'll show you what the problem was. I go to my eagle eye. Where is it? Here. There, the input. Was that going to work? Input. It's currently set to, oh dear, it's not very good, is it? Anyway, it's set to OBS plus virtual camera. And for some reason, it had changed to OBS plus VB audio cable. And that was the reason why I didn't have any stream. So, anyway, it's all working now, which is good. Oh, while I'm on the eagle eye, which I'm not, let me go back to it. Michael, when I made my my ports down 4, I was looking for a suitable case to put it in, and this is the ports down 4 with the Pi screen, and that is the case. It's got these two adjustable hinges on there, so you can alter the angle of the screen with the so that's the screen with the Raspberry Pi behind it on there on the back. So that's what I used. If you're going to ask me where I got it from, I can't remember, but I'm sure if you look on the BATC wiki pages on the ports down 4, there'll be a link to that, but that's what I used anyway. Seems to work quite well. Anyway, let me go back to my camera here. Put the eagle eye over there. Right, I'll just run down the list. I haven't got a lot to say because I haven't been up to much, but yeah, okay, Leon, the CD qualities, yes, I've got a whole load of CDs here, and I've also got a lot of vinyl as well, and I much prefer the quality from vinyl records, much better. The CDs are terribly compressed. I was at a casino a few weeks ago, and they were playing this dreadful music over the speakers, and it was so compressed it was really hurting my ears. Terrible. Anyway, Martin, the All-Star node interface, very interesting, but I've no idea how to use that or whether I would ever use it, but yeah, very good. I wish I had your computer programming skills. I've been playing around with my trying to get some suitable software to work with my ham TV, so that it will send the azimuth and elevation commands to the rotator motors. And I watch lots of YouTube videos, and I did a lot of research on the internet, and I wish people would, that they say, oh, it's so easy, and that they say, you know, step 1, 2, 3, 4, it's so easy, and you read it and you think, yeah, I can do that, that's easy. And when you get to step 2, you find you can't, you're stuck. And in this particular case, they left out some very important information, because I was trying to add something to the config file. You had to add something to it, but and the information they left out was that the file is read only, so you can't write to it. So so that was a bit of a nightmare. I spent ages fiddling about with that. So anyway, more research on the internet, and eventually I made it to make it write compatible. So I managed to modify it. So I've now got some. The software is sending azimuth and elevation serial commands to my Uno. So we are making progress. But I'm making a more heavy-duty rotator system with some larger motors, and I've been fitting some potentiometers on there and micro switches for the rotation. So that's taken a long time. I started this over a year ago, but hopefully I'll get it all up and running before October, when it's the ham TV is supposed to be working. Anyway, what else was there? Michael, 35 degrees C. It's 22 degrees here in the middle of the UK. It's relatively overcast. A very cold wind this morning when I woke up, but it's just about a comfortable temperature now, so that's quite good. Oh, and Brian, I was watching your stream on the BATC streamer earlier this morning when you're playing the Shadows. Very nice music. Excellent. Right, what else is there? I went to the King's Lynn radio rally a couple of weeks ago. There's a chap there selling some speakers for a PC, which I urgently needed because I've been using these useless little speakers on the computer monitor, and he was selling these speakers. It was only £1, so I thought I'd take a chance anyway. So I've got those plugged into the computer, and it has transformed the sound now, so I can actually hear things. So that's quite good. This morning, the ride receiver decided not to work. I had to restart it several times, so I don't know why that was. What else was there? I inadvertently tuned into a pirate radio station on medium wave. They seem to come on at the weekend now, because a lot of the broadcast stations have switched off now on medium wave. There's loads of space now. So whereas they used to be on shortwave on around 6 megs, they seem to be coming up on medium wave. There's a very strong one here on 1206. No, sorry, 1208 kilohertz. Very strong here. He was rebroadcasting old tapes from Radio North Sea International. Yeah, as far as the Australian net. I'm not sure if I'm going to be available for that. I think you said 0900 UTC. I'll have to check to make sure I'm here. But yeah, that should be quite interesting. I read on somewhere that it starts at yeah, because the Americans will be on there first of all. So it starts in the early hours of the morning, I think, doesn't it? But I should be fast asleep when the Americans are on there, unless I set my alarm clock. Presumably the Australians will be coming up in sort of late afternoon. I don't know. Anyway, that's enough from me. I don't know who to pass it to because Mike said he's only watching, so I assume he's not going to transmit. So there's nothing on the comments there, so I'm assuming that Mike is not coming on, so I'm going to pass it round to Roger. G3IUZ to take. Roger. All yours, G4IMO.
Roger's coming up just yet. He did say he might come up at the end, or the end of the list. So we'll give you another turn, Roger. Not to fear. There's a lot of little buttons to push when one's not totally used to it, eh? But anyway, we'd like to hear you. What I'll do is you can get prepared and I'll send it to Leon. But before Leon takes it, maybe you can just give a gap to see if you come up, Roger. And we'll give spaces like that every time. Okay, just quickly down the list. Yes, Leon, nice signal from you as usual. And that audio test sounds interesting. Be interesting to see what happens via DATV. Up to what frequency? I presume we could go to maybe 10 kilohertz. It sounds like that on the audio quality that we are hearing lately. So that's going to be interesting. Stuart did say something about he hopes you can check the frequency that you're using, that if 10 kilohertz is genuinely 10 kilohertz. Anyway, I'm sure you've got your scopes and things that and analyzers that can do that. And Michael, yeah, you're quite right. The older you get, so the high tones disappear. That's for sure. But I find the longer I'm married, I tend to get a filter built in. I don't hear what my wife says often. She has to repeat herself. So you get that type of tone deaf as well. Good thing she's not listening. Anyway, yeah, selective hearing we call it, eh? Okay, Martin, all good on your all-star node? Yeah, you're getting back into this, we call it DMR, and you got now the all-star node, and we do the other one that ICOM has, and then there's a Yaesu one. So there's so many different systems, but I believe there's one thing nowadays that you can get everything sort of interconnected. So, yeah. I don't know why they don't standardize and get it finished, eh? Anyway, yeah, Michael, Michael, it's advisable to run your Pluto off a independent power supply on the right-hand side socket. But don't go over 5 volts, for goodness sakes. These things are rather sensitive. You can pop them. So make sure you regulate it at 4.9 volt or 5 volt exactly, but don't go over that. And you can use the two together, not a problem, because it will select the right hand port normally. So I run that as well. I run an external PSU to the Pluto, and it's more stable that way as well, especially if you had long lines, a long cable to your USB port, then it's far better to run it with its own little power supply. So in the unit I've got my own power supply built in, little 5 volt power supply, and that runs my GPSDO, discipline oscillator, as well as the Pluto, all in a little enclosure, so it works quite well. Yeah, Brian, yeah, your Prism Live Studio, okay, it seems to be working out okay, and the little bit of pixelation you're getting might be because you're running 2/3. I'm running 3/4 at the moment, so it's a bit better from that point of view. And I'm sure with a bit of playing around, you're going to get it right. It's going to be interesting to see what it does. I'm so used to OBS now, I wouldn't want to change, to be very honest. I don't like giving myself hidings. So if a thing works, leave well alone. Right? But anyway. And then Frank, yeah, nice signal from you today, Frank, no problem. I'll see you also watch out on YouTube from time to time. Yeah, I'm pleased the YouTube link works. Sometimes I have a problem with internet and then we have an issue. But touch wood, it's been working quite well recently. Nick, nice to see you on. Nice picture as always. And yeah, that's irritating when either an update or something happens and then your settings change. Can throw you around the bend. But I'm glad you sorted it out and found it. So next time you don't get a stream, the first place you'll look normally is where you last had the problem. But if you're like me, I have to reinvent the wheel every time I forget. And then, okay, Mike, I see you just watching, and I read some of the comments on the net. Okay, let's see. Roger, G3IUZ, would you like to try and fire up? And then you pass it to ZS1 Mike. But if you don't come up within, say, 15 or so seconds, I'm sure Leon will take it and continue from there. We'll make this the last over. So, G3IUZ, possibly, failing which, ZS1 Mexico from ZS6 Yankee India.
Okay. ZS6YI in the group, ZS1MM returning. Yeah, pity that Roger is not coming up. Okay. Yes, as I said, I've spent hours and hours with the manuals, and this thing has got two thick manuals to operate this machine again. But anyway, in the end, we managed to get that going. I'm battling with another thing. I have two of these nano stations, you know, to 5.8 gig LAN to LAN, those links. I used it when I started the radio station to link the program from the studio up the mountain to where the transmitter is located. Now that's 12 years ago or so. But yeah, you had to have a PC at the bottom and a PC at the top. So in the end, we abandoned that, and we then went to the dedicated thing that's made for that, and it's the Barracks. It's a Barracks device. It's a Swiss design, but made in somewhere, I don't know where. Very expensive. But it's a tiny little box with left and right audio in, LAN out. And the receiving one is left and right audio out with a normal LAN connector. So you don't need PCs. That thing you can connect straight to a RF link. Anyway, so a friend of mine wants to do some experiments with this equipment that I've still got, the nano stations by Ubiquity. I said, yeah, I've still got them. I must just figure out how to work them again. I made printouts of all the pages and stuff, but oh man, they tell you change the IP address here and there, but where? Somewhere in a PC. Now I go to Google. How do I change the IP address? Their page looks different to mine. So then I'm buggered. So I'll have to take it to one of my computer boffin friends to help me set it up again. When I make notes, it's very dangerous, because at the time when I make the notes, I've played with the thing quite a bit, and then I only sort of jot down the major points. But that's no good for me to really have a usable set of instructions. Press the power button on. Next, click here, click there, arrow up, arrow down, look there. If it says that, do that. That works for me, and I didn't do it with that. I nearly did that with the recording machine, but I still missed a few points, because at one stage I used it a lot, and I didn't think it would be necessary to write down everything that I do, but it is, after so many years of the thing just being in storage. Okay, right, Martin, JKOE, I know nothing about those little boxes and the Raspberry Pi things that you're playing with there, but yeah. Michael, the 3D printing business. 3D printing, it's not what you need to know. If you get the files from other places, you don't need to know a lot of fiddling to get your 3D printer going. It's if I can do it, you can do it. And there it is. It's standing just behind my transmitter monitor. I haven't used it for many months, but I'm sure if I wanted to use it now, it'll take me 10 minutes and I'll be up and going. The challenge is if you want to draw your own 3D drawings, your own things. That program you have to play with continuously to be up to scratch with it. I can do some things, but I have friends that I phone. How do I do this? I want a lot of holes there. No, just do that and there and scale it. So okay, right. Then I can do it. And I do make some notes. But yes, I'm not using that frequently enough. But I mean, Thingiverse and places like that where you can download just about all sorts of drawings. If you do that and not draw your own, then there's really not much to know about the 3D printing. It works. Just set the temperature right for the particular type of filament you're using, and dump the picture on a SD card. Mine, I work it off a SD card. Plug it into the machine and press go, and it does it for you. Okay, yeah, no, it was you about the CD stuff, Michael. I say a year ago, maybe it's not quite so long, I don't know, but it was before you started with your view meter project. But anyway, not to worry. It's an interesting experiment, and I'll let you know what I find. Brian, yes, you do have quite a bit of blocks. It's as if something is too slow in your system now. Maybe that new program is so fancy it takes up too much energy of your PC's processing, so that you're getting quite a lot of blocks. Frank, you're building that MIDI Pi synthesizer interface thing. That sounds like an interesting thing, but yeah, that's a true muso thing. And Nick, you say CD compressed. Yeah, just about all music today is horribly compressed. Even the radio stations themselves use a lot of compression. I hate it. The CDs that I write are all live recordings that I've recorded myself, and I use 0 compression, because a CD has got this fantastic dynamic range. You don't need any compression. You can listen to classical music from the lowest level right to the thundering bass drums and whatever, and the thing's got the dynamic range. So why do you want to compress it to make everything? Yeah, so I agree with you. But they did compress on the LPs as well, but not nearly as badly as they do with. I don't think it's got much to do with the CD itself. It's the modern trend to have all music compressed. I mean, if you listen to modern music, it's all the same. Yeah, not for me, thank you. Okay, right, that is my story. I can't get my Ubiquiti 5.8 gig links going. They talking to one another. Oh, it's full signal strength on both of them. So the RF link is there. But to get the computer to interface with the thing, no, I'll have to ask the whiz guys to get that thing. Okay, that's it from me. Have a nice week. I'm off tomorrow. I'm not at work tomorrow because on my Jimny there was a factory recall, something with a fuel pump, apparently on some models. So they need to inspect and to see which model fuel pump I have. If there is methanol in your petrol, the impeller in the pump swells up and it gets stuck. Now, I don't know if any methanol in our South African fuels. I know in Brazil they run on lots of methanol. But anyway, they are on ethanol. But still, because the thing is still under guarantee, I'll take it in tomorrow and let them inspect it, and they swap it out free of charge. But they have to order the part first. So yeah. Anyway, so that's why I'm not at work tomorrow. I'll go back to Bredasdorp. It's 145 k's from here, from Worcester, that I drive to get to my other house, and then I drive another 26 k's to the work, to the test range. having lots of fun there. I enjoy it. Okay, Martin, over to you. And 73's from me. I'll listen to the end. G8 KOE for the group from ZS1 Mike in Worcester, where it's quite cool still, although the sun is out.
Yeah, I think we've got it. It says. Good. Let's mute the sound. Manuals. It reminded me of when I used to work for the disco side of MBI systems, which they did a broadcast desk, MBI broadcast systems, and they used to get the receptionist as such to write the user manual, because if she didn't understand how to do it, and it worked exceedingly well, because she'd just ask questions. How do you do this? How do you do that? How do you set this? How do you set that? And absolutely superb. To you there, Frank, I think All-Star would be spot on for what you want to do. If you look at the Tech Minds video, that's where I'd start, and that's he shows you how to sort of set things up to start with. Let's go to the center screen. And then you wander off to, which he does give the information in the side of things, and you wander off and you ask for a you fill in the application, etc. there, and they will give you a node number associated to your call sign. I have a number of them, but so allstarlink.org will give you that. So watch the video. It shows you how to set that one up, but you can build your own if you want to. If you want to go the route, which is, I have two nodes set up. One which is on the interface, and one which is set up using a Bofang as the receive side of things. So that's the dashboard. You can expand it if I log in, but it'll give a load of other information which I don't want to give at the moment. But at the moment it just shows one person connected. But if I go over to my other node, which is this one, which is connected to HubNet, and if I click on the bubble chart there, it'll expand things quite considerably, and that's what the network I'm connected. There am I, connected to the main server, etc., etc., etc. The big thing with it is you've got your node number, and it's peer-to-peer, so it's based on phone network software, effectively. So you don't have to be, so you can decide, right, the two of you just connect together, or your little group can all just connect together. So that may explain things a little bit better, but it's worth looking into. At the moment, as I said, on my other node, I just have my friend who's in Bristol, which is connected to that node. So I was chatting to him this morning. That's David. No, not that one. I'm connecting the wrong one, aren't I? Silly. That one, David, G1DCG. I was chatting to him. And if I click on which I did earlier, the bubble map there. There you go. It's just the two of us are connected together. So you can do as little or as much as you want to, which is what's good with it. There's also lots of other things you can do, lots of bits and pieces, but the other advantage is it's FM. You're using your standard FM radio. So any FM radio you've got, and so you get good quality audio, not the DMR sort of side of things. And whenever you have a bridge to work all the other sort of systems linked up to one another, Yes. Yeah, forget Pi Star, totally there, Nigel. It's totally independent. It's on the All-Star network. So you register with, just if you watch the video that TechMinds has put up, it shows you the links and it shows you how to register, and you get a node number and a password, etc., which you put into the software. And you can go in and you can modify all sorts of things. Not that I totally understand all the things. I used to do a lot with it because I was involved with a number of repeaters that used it, but I use Xterm. So the one that I'm running, which is that one, we can connect into, and if we up that, go to etc asterisk, which is down the bottom here, and then you've got rpt config. It says needs some better eyes, that one there, and that gives the config information for 47572, and you've got all sorts of things you can change. So at the moment I give a tone, etc., but there's loads of information, all the hang times, the etc., 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 and you can change the tones and have a K instead of a T or whatever you like. You can register more than one node on one system. It looks complicated, but it's not, and you can change things from the actual keypad, DTMF keypad of the actual radio, etc. Plus other things. You could actually connect a link to it as well if you wanted to. But so I think that would probably do what you're doing. But it means you can use any of your radios. This one, as everybody's got, I think I paid 10 quid for it, works exceptionally well. And you can on your own little private network, or just 2 of you can go off and chat to one another, or 10 of you can be connected and chat to one another. And you can set it up to be full duplex, being it's based on a phone system. So depending on how you connect things up, but it's best to start simple and progress on. I used to have another setup that had a separate speaker on it, etc. So or whatever, endless, but much better than the quality than DMR, which sounds like you've got a peg on your nose most of the time. So let's close that down. Go back to DATV Red. Was there anything else I needed to comment on? The pirate station. Yes, sounds good. I did find, which I don't think you were around, but the old Caroline video, which I will show at some stage, unless you've seen it. It's a bit long, unfortunately. Yeah, it was done by Renz. I've got it off his website ages ago. Renz Mars PI6ALK. That's about 40 minutes, and it shows the raid. I know there is one on YouTube, but it's not the same. Right. Yeah, Roger, I'm hoping may pop up at the very end. I know he tends to have, he likes his lunch, etc. and things. So he did say he was hoping to get on, which is why I mentioned it. But maybe he's got held up with all the nice food, etc. But fingers crossed he might make it. Right, I think I've commented on most things. The ride, the unmuting the ride, this end, which is locking up a tree. That was the other thing I was going to mention. Let's over to the other camera. This that I'm using here, Michael, is a PC totally. It's what was used on a cash register. So if we close that down, it's actually running Windows 10. So I've got that on it. I've got the DATV reporter side of things, which is connected up to OpenTuner. It will update itself in a minute. I won't wait. I can also look at my node, and I also stuck on it because I could. It says if it's going to there you go. So I can run that software as well. Makes it very versatile. Or I can go back to running the ride, which I also fed into there. So my son acquired them as he buys and sells point of sale equipment, and they weren't going for very much. This one is touch screen, and I've actually got another one coming. So on that note, I didn't need any brackets or anything, or be able to get to anything. I may still at some stage get another Raspberry Pi, etc., and build up the system, but I've got sort of sidetracked on using Windows 10. But I suppose you could put that other operating system on, but cheap and cheerful. Right, let's go back over to the camera and pass it on for more this and that, I think. No, your pictures do look very good, actually. Very good indeed. Sounds good. They're a lot better than what they were. So whatever you've been doing has worked wonders. So so good there. And you're welcome to the heat. I can't cope with the heat. Outside is 18.7 at the moment, and it's 26.2 in the shack here. Over to you there, Michael, from Golf 8 Kilo Oscar Echo.
Yeah. Sorry, I just doubled with you. Finger slipped. Touch screen, you see. Very easy to get your finger hovering over the button, and I accidentally touched it. So I just doubled with you for a half a second, I think, on your last, as you were saying goodbye. Sorry. Yeah, the two cases for the pies, they are very, very nice indeed, I agree. And I had seen those on Amazon. In fact, I did actually buy, I bought one a long time ago, actually, not as nice as that. And it was just rubbish, but they do look very good. But it's not what I wanted. I wanted total access, right, for development purposes, so that, you know, I can actually get to all the GPIOs with ease. I can get to everything. Whereas put it in a case and you're compromised. You have to keep taking it apart just to do something. This is just for development purposes. I test ideas out on this. I mean, the next tests I'll be doing using this, as I'm so pissed off with Raspberry Pis, and particularly the way Linux is going, distributions, I should say, Linux. In fact, Linus Torvald also complains about that. I'm not alone. He slams distributions, because most people think Linux is a distribution, and it's not. Linux is just the kernel, which is what he's passionate about. He's not passionate about distributions at all. And Pi operating systems are a distribution. Okay, so I'm wondering whether to try BSD, FreeBSD, or OpenBSD. FreeBSD is more popular, But whether it will support the hardware I'm using, I don't know yet. But, you know, I'd just go back to using Xorg on that, you know, because it works. It might be old-fashioned, but you see, old-fashioned, all this stuff, you see, the whole Linux community has got obsessed with something new, which is Wayland and its partner network manager. And they're not finished. They're just not ready for the real world. You know, in my opinion, Raspberry Pi should never have released Bookworm, never. And they only did it. I mean, I feel sorry for their developers because they do as they're told by the marketing department. And the marketing department decided they needed a Pi 5. And they decided that they were going to be revolutionary and modern and with it. So they made it so that you're forced into using Bookworm with Wayland and the other thing. And they're all doing it. All the distributions are doing this. And, you know, it's going to piss a lot of people off in time. Maybe quite a short time, actually. So I'm very tempted to, I am going to experiment. I'm going on holiday next week try and get away from this heat, which I hate. You can't go out of the house during the day. You know, you can't. You're lucky if you can go for a walk at midnight, and I often do. You know, I'll take the rubbish to the tip and things like that. It's terrible. And I'm not one for getting up at 7 o'clock in the morning, which would be better. But that's not the way I am. Now, I have to take issue with Nick, who made an outlandish generalization saying CDs are compressed. This is not true, Nick, as others have just pointed out. CDs are 16-bit digital. And as others have said, as Leon said, you know, you can hear the faintest sound to the very loudest sound without distortion or noise or compression. That's a fact. So I don't know what you're listening to. You know, maybe you're buying CDs of old 1960s, 70s music, the original performances, not the remastered versions, if there is one. For example, I was a great Beatles fan, as everybody was in my era. I still am, actually. But the memory is fantastic, you know. I mean, I went to live performances of the Beatles. I even worked with the Beatles in the studio once, just once, you know, as an assistant sound engineer. All I did was put the microphones out. But the memory of that is it's magic, you know, the screaming and everything. You couldn't hear the music, actually. But, you know, the records. And remember, when you bought records in those days, you know, the little 45s, the round vinyl things, you were playing it back on a kind of 7-inch elliptical on a portable record player. That didn't have hi-fi quality, so it kind of filtered out all the distortion. And the record producers needed, or rather the mastering engineers that mastered the vinyl masters, had to contain the frequencies and dynamics to fit in the groove so the needle didn't bounce out again. So they had to reduce the amount of bass, for example, and the amount of treble. And then the producers would also compress it, as you say, because that was vogue, and the mastering engineers would do it again. So yes, they were highly compressed and horrible if you listen to them today on decent equipment, which you have. You know, decent amplifier, decent hi-fi speakers and all that. It sounds absolutely awful, terrible. So if you've been listening to that, that's how it is, that's why. But there are plenty of recordings that were recorded with full dynamic range. And as Leon pointed out, you know, classical stuff always is, you know. I mean, Unless it's a very old recording that's, you know, and you're listening to the original master, which has probably been transcribed from vinyl in the first place, onto CD. That's the reason. So you've got the wrong impression. Throw out your vinyl disc and your scratch and noise and all this dust that gets onto it. And okay, that's another rant, isn't it? I like ranting. Yeah. Anyhow, that's it from me. Very interesting, Nick. I picked up quite a few useful bits of information, and thank you for the information from Mike on the chat, and also Gary for commenting on my question about the Pluto. And I'll heed the warning of absolutely no more than 5 volts. So I'll have to check that out before I actually plug anything in and act accordingly. As I say, it all works okay, but I don't know how close to the edge I am. So it's something that I intend to do. The trouble is, there are so many things I intend to do, and priorities seem to change on a daily basis. I'll have a go with this link to Australia. I think you said the 31st of August, 0900 UTC. That sounds fun. I'll put it in my diary, and I'll see if I can remember to do it. I put it in the diary, but I have to remember to look at the diary. And yeah, that's it. This All-Star stuff, Martin, is that the same as Icon's D-Star? Because it just so happens I've got an Icon IC 9700, which I never use, actually, simply because there's absolutely nobody else speaking English down here. In fact, there's not many amateurs live at all down here. And of course, these kind of frequencies don't get very far. But you can connect this thing direct to the internet, I'm told. I've never tried it, using D-Star somehow, magic, and you get into some kind of a hub. And so that's interesting. He says, no, use an FM radio. Well, I can do FM, but where do I transmit it to? Oh, no, I don't understand that. I could put D-Star. There is actually a repeater here that I can reach, and it's dual band. You know, it's dual thing. It'll do FM and it'll also do D-Star, and you can connect up to other people on that, I believe. I've never tried it. The thing is, I kind of lost interest in all this talkie radio stuff when I got interested in this TV stuff. So it's a total distraction from the other stuff, which is a shame, really, because I got all these antennas on the roof that annoyed the hell out of the neighbours at first. They stopped complaining now, and I never use them. It's the way it goes, isn't it? Right. I assume you can just listen on the internet. Yeah, listen, yeah. Martin says All-Star. I'll check out All-Star and see what it talks about. Right, that's it from me. Thank you to everyone for responding. And I hope I haven't upset Nick too much. But you're wrong, Nick. You're absolutely wrong. So, where are we going now? I've forgotten. Let me get the list up. We're going over to... it's back to Brian. With his... he's going back to OBS. And I put on the chat, I think you're extremely brave switching your setup during a net. That's just an invitation for absolute disaster. So I'll be surprised if you come up, but I'm sure you will, because you're far more competent than I am. So over to Brian G6HFS from Michael in Spain, EA7KIR. Over to you, Brian.
And as if by magic, yeah, I'm brave, Michael. Don't worry about that. No, only takes. Okay, come on, camera, focus. Only takes a few seconds. I've got my laptop trimmed. It knows what it's doing. I must say the picture does look better in OBS. Let's see if it still does the blocky business when I move. There we go. That should be enough. Oh, it's there, but not as bad. Right, I've got not a great deal to add. So it's been a good enjoyable net this afternoon. And frames resolutions are lower. No, 25 frames, same as the other software I was using. No dropped frames. No, 25 mic frames. Anyway, the only other thing I've played with, as you can see, is in the background is the ham clock. Thought I'd have a play. So still want to change a few things, but I've just been fiddling with that. Something to do for a few hours. So I'll say 7.3, some good afternoon to all, morning or evening to other listeners, and hopefully be on next week if I don't get dragged up the model field to do some flying again. So I'll hand it round back to Frank. G8.
Right. Thank you, Brian. I'm disappointed you went back to OBS. I was looking at Prism Live on their website. It says it has extra special downloadable beauty effects. So that sounds fascinating. You won't need them, but I mean, I could try it out, see if I get transformed with special beauty effects as well. I'm actually using vMix at the moment. A suggestion by Peter in North Wales. I'm not amazingly bowled over by vMix, to be honest. I mean, you can sort of have sort of effects. It just does that, and then it does that again, and things like that. But you know, the low cost version only allows you so many inputs, and if you have a camera, and then you have a test card, and then you have a I don't know, one of these things, and then you put the audio on a microphone that isn't built into the camera. Actually, that's your 4 inputs, so you're done. So I might go back to OBS, or I might try those beauty effects. I think on Prism it's bound to be an improvement. Asterix software with All-Star. I mean, I've used Asterix in the past for various other things. It is developed for PABXs, so you can have IP phones and build your own office PABX. But I mean, no one has PABXs or switch key and lamp switch systems in offices anymore. At least I don't think people do have phones on their desk in offices. I think, but it's found a new home in the All-Star network. I quite liked Martin's Radio Caroline video. I actually went on board the Ross Revenge very long time ago. I think it was 93. It was certainly shortly after they were closed down. It was before I moved to America, so it would be either the beginning of 94 or the end of 93. And it was in some disarray at the time. There was all kinds of spares for the transmitters, valves. I mean, someone had put bolt cutters through the PA coils, but there was all kinds of quite large amounts of spares that I remember just wandering around at the time. Anyway, I'll say 7 threes to everyone. I did put this Raspberry Pi and sound card in a box. Supposedly this is this sort of musical instrument attachment. I've now realised, of course, to get it working I've got to connect the monitor to the Pi before I can put it on the network, so I'm going to have to take it out of the box again. But anyway, there you go. That's life. 7 threes to everyone. I will pass it over to Nick. I think G4 IMO. So it's G8 PQH in Celsius Bill with the worldwide net, and G4.
Yeah, okay, Frank, thanks for that. I'll just check my... yeah, I can hear me coughing in the background there, so it's like it's working. Yeah, okay, all very interesting. Yeah, okay, on Caroline. Yes, I went there. I was on the Ross Revenge in, was it 2017? It was the 50th anniversary of the Marine Offences Act. Yeah, 2017, I think it was. Yeah, it's quite interesting visit if you get the chance. I think I paid £25 to for that, but I think it's 35 now. I think they put the price up. But if you have the opportunities, well, it's certainly well worth it. But because they take you down into the transmitter hold and the engine room, and if you take a camera with you to take some pictures, make sure you take one that performs well under low light conditions, because I took an iPhone 5 to take some pictures, and on the ceiling, which is very high, they've got these horrible fluorescent lights, and the lighting is very poor. So most of the pictures that I took weren't particularly in focus, and they were very poor quality. But one day I'll find them on the computer, and I'll show you some pictures. The actual engine of the ship had actually seized up. They were working on the engine to try and sort it out. And it's an interesting thing, the type of engine that they've got there. I can't remember how many cylinders it is, but it's the same engine that they used on a German submarine. And to actually start it, there is no starter motor. It's start on compressed air. But anyway, that's that, I think, for today. So I think I'm going to say cheerio, and I'm going to go away and listen to some uncompressed vinyl. Yes, okay, Michael, fair enough. And anyway, yeah, it's no doubt my hearing is deteriorated with my age, so that probably explains it. Anyway, okay, I'll say cheerio to everybody, and nice to see you all on here. Hopefully I'll be on next time if everything works. And I'm going to assume Mike's not coming on, and Roger G3RUZ, he's not on the chat, so I assume he isn't going to come on either. But anyway, I shall pass it round to Roger if you're there, and I'll say cheerio to everybody else. G3RUZ to take if you're there. G4IMO.
Okay, I'll take it. It doesn't look like G3IUZ is on. I just want to say, somebody watching us all the way from San Diego in California, that is the Oceanside Coastal Access TV. I haven't got the chap's name. He didn't mention his name, but he's watching via YouTube. And he said he got up very, very early here. He got up early to just to catch the net. So I did say we all appreciate that. And we wish him well. I just don't know what the name is. You can maybe tell us. Oceanside Coastal Access TV in San Diego, California. So that's very nice indeed. So with this, guys, I'm going to close the net. And we look forward to hearing each other next week. Yeah, we've had a bit of very sad news. A friend of mine, Gavin, ZS6 Bravo Golf, he passed away this morning with brain cancer. And he was 67 years of age, turning 68 soon. But when I became the youngest ham in South Africa, radio amateur, and I was quite ill. I had polyps removed and adenoids removed and tonsils all at the same time. So I wasn't feeling too happy. I was at home recuperating, and Gavin came to visit. We were still at school, and I'd known Gavin since 1967. Anyway, so I got on the Morse code key, and I spoke to a guy down in Cape Town. And I said to the guy in Cape Town, tell Gavin there's ice creams in the fridge or something to that effect, which he did. And Gavin came back with the ice creams and he said, gee, this is fantastic. This amateur radio, he wouldn't mind doing it. So I said to him, why don't you? I'll help you. And I did. And he passed the next exam. That was a year late, almost a year later. He passed his exam. And so he became the youngest ham in South Africa. So the two youngest hams in South Africa at the time were both in the same class at school, same school, of course. So that was one for the books. And of course, the next year that all petered out. And quite a remarkable thing once happened. I teased Gavin as we were going from the one class to the other. I said, you know, good thing you're a radio ham because we'll never lose touch. And maybe 10 years from today, I click on and I hook up with you and I find out you've got 10 children or something like that, you know, pull his leg a bit. Anyway, a few years later, it must have been about 4 years later, one Saturday morning, I just switched on the radio, my little ICOM TS120 Sierra, just popped it on, and I heard a guy calling CQ in a different province to where we live. We're in Zulu Sierra 6, we're in the Gauteng, or those days the Transvaal area. And I'll go, this station from Division 5, Natal area, came up. But as I called, or he called CQ, and I went back to him, and he immediately came back, and he said, how are you? And he gave my surname. I thought, how the hell? It was Gavin. And the crazy coincidence was, he just switched on, heard there was no one on the band, started to call CQ. Now, out of the thousands, the millions of frequencies, imagine that. We bang on the same frequency without touching the VFO. We never forgot that, I can tell you. Anyway, I went to see him just about 2 weeks to 3 weeks ago on the 31st of August. And I knew he was really very ill. And when I got there, he was sort of in and out of a coma. And his wife said, you got a visitor. Open your eyes. You got a visitor. And he sort of tried to open his eyes. And I said ZS6YI. And he came back, hello, Uncle Gary. Just teasing me again. And it was nice to see him. And we could communicate a little bit. And when I said, Gavin, I have to go. It's month end for the company. He took his hand out under the blanket. And he had a firm shake, man. And we knew that would be the last time we'd see each other. And at 13 minutes to 3 South African time in the morning, he passed away. So a good ham, really good guy. Anyway, with that, I'm going to close the net and bid everyone on frequency on the DATV net as well as those watching on YouTube. A very happy week. We hope to see you next week. This is ZS6YI now going to throw the net into the sky, and whoever wants to continue may do so. 7-3 all.
Okay, right. Michael, if you're still there, I quickly connected a little Sony DVD player to the scope and to a little monitor amplifier, and I played the CD. And from 200 cycles, which was the lowest frequency I recorded, right up to 20 kilocycles, I just had to keep up with the time base on the scope, of course. It was perfect. No artifacts, nothing. It was a pure sine wave all along. So yeah, now I'm satisfied that CD quality can be very good if the recording engineer knows what he's doing and if he's not compressing the hell out of everything. So yeah, people always commend me on the recordings that I've made. It sounds real life like, and definitely not compressed, but very clear. Okay, I just thought I'd let you know there are no artifacts or funnies or things from ZS1 Mike. Yeah.
Yeah, thanks for coming back on that, Leon. Yeah, that's very good actually. The frequency response you measured over the link, over the satellite link. You've obviously got a better quality receiver than I've got. I think I did try to measure it earlier this year, and not in a very scientific way, I have to admit, but I was kind of measuring about, I'm going from memory now, I think it was about 6 dBs down at 15 kc, which is more than we need for this. So, you know, to get the full response, you've obviously got a better receiver than I've got, I would guess. Or maybe it's the other end. I'll measure it again at some point in the future and come back with that, if I remember. I'll put it in my diary. Okay, good afternoon to all. Bye bye.